Let's see the life cycle of Ascaris lumbricoides. Earlier, we have seen the structure of Ascaris and their eggs. We'll take a brief. We know that Ascaris lumbricoides is a parasite living in the small intestine of the human being. And the male and female, we said Ascaris lumbricoides shows sexual dimorphism, and male is shorter, female is longer, and unisexual, sexual dimorphic form, and living in the alimentary canal we call enterozoic form, and living in the cavity of alimentary canal, any cavity of organism living, we say that as coelozoic parasite, and it's a monogenetic parasite which complete the life cycle in single host. After the completion of copulation, we said they release the eggs, mammillated eggs are released, and these mammillated eggs are going to be 2 lakh eggs per day. Per day, 2 lakh eggs per day, they are going to release in the lumen of small intestine. That eggs are released now. The female Ascaris, after the completion of copulation, they is going to release 2 lakh eggs per day. These particular eggs are going to be released out and fall down on the moist soil, and these eggs will grow and develop a particular stage. What do you call first stage rhabditiform larva? And I'll give a brief of egg also. We said outer is a protein coat, and below that we'll find a chitinous shell, and below that we can see a lipid layer is also present here, this particular, and inside we have the egg, and egg divides and results the formation of a larval form we call first stage rhabditiform larva is getting formed. The first stage rhabditiform larva is formed here itself. And this first stage rhabditiform larva itself in the egg, we call the larval form of Ascaris as a rhabditiform larva. So itself in the egg, the first stage rhabditiform larva is formed. This first stage rhabditiform larva will go first molting and result the formation of second stage rhabditiform larva. Result the formation of second stage rhabditiform larva. Itself in the egg will find this particular second stage rhabditiform larva, and in this stage, the second stage rhabditiform larva is considered as infective stage. This is a stage, we can say infective stage to the human being. Second stage rhabditiform larva only called infective stage to the human being. So, how will it infect? Through the contaminated food and water. The second stage rhabditiform larva enters into the human being. That second stage rhabditiform larva, where it comes? It comes into the small intestine itself. The second stage rhabditiform larva will come to the small intestine itself. Here it is, the second stage rhabditiform larva along with the eggshell. In the small intestine, the shell is getting dissolved. The shell is dissolved, and from there, from the shell, that who is coming out, the second stage rhabditiform larva is coming out. Okay, do remember I'm giving the blue tick for second stage rhabditiform larva. The second stage rhabditiform larva will come out after the shell get dissolved. It comes out in the new human being in the small intestine because of that particular enzymes that dissolves the layer, and second stage rhabditiform larva is coming out. So that the particular second stage rhabditiform larva is going to show the extra intestinal migration. The human being, after entering it by contaminated food and water, it is going to show the extra intestinal migration. What is extra outside? Outside the intestine, they make a journey. So we are moving with that journey now. So this second stage rhabditiform larva, then from the intestine, it enters into the liver through hepatic portal vein. Through the hepatic portal vein, it enters into the liver. So from the liver, it enters into the postcaval vein. Through, with the help of hepatic vein, it enters into the postcaval vein or inferior vena cava. So from there, it enters into the heart, the right atria. From the right atria, it move into the right ventricle. It move into the right ventricle, From the right ventricle, that the second stage rhabditiform larva enters into the lungs through the pulmonary artery. The total journey, have to remember once, that from the small intestine, the second stage rhabditiform larva goes to the liver through hepatic portal vein, goes to the postcaval vein through the hepatic vein. Path, if you say small intestine, hepatic portal vein, liver, hepatic vein, postcaval vein, then right atrium of the heart, then right ventricle of the heart. From the right ventricle, it enters into the lungs through pulmonary aorta or pulmonary artery. So now everything is going to happen itself in the lungs. Remaining story. So who is that? Second stage rhabditiform larva in the lungs. Second stage rhabditiform larva reach to the lungs now. That is what we said, extra-intestinal migration. That what we call it a second stage rhabditiform larva show extra-intestinal migration. Okay, so this in this particular condition, second stage larval form will undergo second molting. Where it is going for second molting? After reaching to the lungs. So that means the next molt occurs in the alveoli of lungs. Second molting occurs that results the formation of third stage microrhabditiform larva. Third stage rhabditiform larva. Okay, so in the lungs, in the alveoli of the lungs, second stage rhabditiform larva performs second molting, and that results the formation of third stage rhabditiform larva. There itself, that it undergo the third stage larva undergo third molting, and that results the formation of fourth stage rhabditiform larva is getting formed. Third molting. So that means you need to understand second molting and third molting is going to happen in. Wait, we got a small mistake. We should say it as third molting. We got a spell mistake. Third molting. Okay, so then the third molting results the fourth stage rhabditiform larva. So we need to understand the two moltings happen here. Where does the first molting happen? When the particular larva, when the particular egg is there outside in the moist soil. That result the second stage. First stage rhabditiform larva undergo first molting on the moist soil that forms second stage. And second stage rhabditiform larva through the contaminated food and water, it enters into the healthy human being. Then that particular second stage rhabditiform larva after the egg sheath dissolved, released in the small intestine. Now it is showing extra-intestinal migration, hepatic portal vein, liver, hepatic vein, postcaval vein, from the right atria, then to the right ventricle, from the right ventricle to the pulmonary aorta, it enters into the lungs, and there in the lungs, in the alveoli of lungs, the second stage rhabditiform larva settle down there and go for second molting. That results the formation of third stage rhabditiform larva. And in the lungs itself, the third stage rhabditiform larva will go for third molting, and that result the formation of fourth stage rhabditiform larva. This fourth stage rhabditiform larva, where it is now? In the alveoli of lungs. So this fourth stage rhabditiform larva, which is produced in the alveoli, it leaves the alveoli of the lungs. It leaves the alveoli of lungs, and all these are the alveoli. Let us imagine. So hypothetical diagrams is there. The fourth stage rhabditiform larva is now start a journey from lungs. It leaves the alveoli and reaches to the small intestine again. How? Through the bronchi. Then again, now moving on through the bronchi, trachea, then larynx, then glottis, then through the pharynx, it enters into the esophagus, stomach, then to the small intestine. Then it comes to the small intestine. So finally that small intestine it was reached. So you should understand this particular story with so many names. That's why they all the names are visualized. Now, who reached here into the small intestine? Fourth stage rhabditiform larva. The fourth stage rhabditiform larva made a journey from lungs, alveoli of the lungs, to bronchi, trachea, larynx, glottis, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, then reaches to the small intestine. So this fourth stage rhabditiform larva, fourth stage rhabditiform larva. Now it undergo the fourth molting in the small intestine. It undergo fourth molting. Nematode parasites will generally undergo four moltings. This is the last molting. In the small intestine, it undergoes the fourth molting, and this is the final molting. Then it became young Ascaris. Now it will become young Ascaris in the small intestine, young adult, we can say young adult worm. Okay, so then after that, this particular young adult worm is going to develop as an adult worm. Okay, so that is a total story. That is a total story of this particular Ascaris parasite, Ascaris life cycle, we can say. So let me take a look back again. Let me show you the story from here. The life cycle of Ascaris, Ascaris lumbricoides, after the completion of copulation, the Ascaris lumbricoides release the mammaliated eggs. Ascaris female lays 2 lakh eggs per day, and these particular eggs, that eggs are going to be released 2 lakh every day. So when the copulation takes place in the small intestine of man, after copulation, the female releases approximately 2 lakh eggs per day. Each egg is surrounded by a protein coat. Each egg is surrounded by a protein coat, and with a rippled surface. You see the rippled surface we have seen in the earlier class. Hence, eggs of Ascaris are described as mammillated eggs because of rippled surface, and the protein coat followed by the chitinous shell. Then below that we can see lipid layer internally. So these eggs are passed out through the fecal matter. These mammillated eggs are passed out through the fecal matter of human being. In a moist soil, the development takes place inside the egg, leading to the formation of first stage rhabditiform larva. Okay, then this first stage rhabditiform larva undergo the first molting, and that makes a second stage rhabditiform larva, which is called infective stage of human being. So the second stage rhabditiform larva itself in the eggshell can wait for human being on moist soil for 6 years, and in this stage only it enters into the human being through contaminated food and water. So whenever through the contaminated food and water, when second stage rhabditiform larva enters into a new human being, in the small intestine, the shell get dissolved. In the small intestine, the shell get dissolved, and that particular second stage rhabditiform larva that will come out from the small intestine, and now it undergoes the extra intestinal migration. Second stage rhabditiform larva will undergo the extra intestinal migration. First, it reaches the liver through hepatic portal vein. First, it reaches the liver through hepatic portal vein. From there, it reaches to the heart through the postcaval vein. We can say via hepatic vein, then postcaval vein. It reaches to the heart. That means to the right atrium of the heart. So from the right atrium to the right ventricle, it goes to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. So right atrium to right ventricle to the pulmonary artery, it goes to the lungs. Second stage rhabditiform larva goes to the lungs. In the alveoli of lungs, it undergo second molting. Second stage rhabditiform larva in the alveoli of lungs, it undergo second molting, and the second molting results the formation of the third stage rhabditiform larva. Third stage rhabditiform larva itself in the lungs. The third stage rhabditiform larva will undergo third molting, which results the formation of fourth stage rhabditiform larva. And in the lungs, the fourth stage rhabditiform larva, which is present in the alveoli of lungs, it will come out, then start travel again. That from there, bronchi to the trachea to the larynx, the glottis, pharynx, then esophagus, then stomach, and finally it reaches to the small intestine where it undergo the fourth molting, and fourth molting to become an young one, which attains the sexual maturity within 8 to 10 weeks. Within 8 to 10 weeks, it attains the sexual maturity as an adult Ascaris. So this is the story of Ascaris lumbricoides. And now moving on with the pathogenicity, what kind of problem our Ascaris lumbricoides roundworm create to the human being when it is present in the small intestine of the human being? What problem it is causing to the human being? We say pathogenicity. Okay, so pathogenicity of Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides causes the disease called ascariasis. In the name of Ascaris itself, ascariasis, we can say. Okay, so the disease is asymptomatic. If the number of worms are less, that is going to be sometimes asymptomatic. That means no symptoms can be expected in the person. Those who are having less number of worms, in those persons who are having the less number of worms, we can say that asymptomatic. In which condition? If the worms are less, if the round worms, Ascaris worms are less in the person, it is asymptomatic. Okay, no symptoms can be expressed over. But he spread the disease to other people, but he don't have any symptoms. That is going to be dangerous. But in heavy infection, that means more number of Ascaris parasites, Ascaris worms are there in the small intestine, can cause nutritional deficiency because the parasite living in the small intestine. So what it is doing, it is eating. What we eat, that it takes. That's what. So that's why the nutritional deficiency will come, and severe abdominal pain because of the presence of parasite in the small intestine. The person will get severe abdominal pain, and in children, we said already, it is more frequently in the children. Stunted growth, stunted growth in children. That means it affects the growth of the children because the nutrients, whatever they are eating, they are going to the parasite, not to him. Okay, so that because of Ascaris lumbricoides, that particular stunted growth can be occurs here. Scientists says that in general, the growth of the human being is possible that because of growth hormone. We know that growth hormone from the pituitary gland is responsible for the growth. So the scientists say that it is believed to be the produce Ascaris lumbricoides produce some certain substances which influence the growth hormone of the human being. Okay, so that's why we say that stunted growth can be expected in the children. Somebody asked me, why, sir, only children? Okay, so only children more frequently. So that means here, why? Because that we have to see the prophylaxis. As like Entamoeba histolytica, this is also going to spread through the contaminated food and water. So we get answer from there itself. So why only for more it is the disease more dangerous and more coming to the children only. So that means that we get answer here. Prophylaxis. So what is a prophylaxis? That means what care to be taken over to get not to get the disease, not to get this disease. What are the things to be care to be taken over? Let's talk about this. The hygienic habits. Simply we say maintenance of hygienic habits. So that in rural areas where there is no awareness that in children that contamination of food and water is going to be more happen. That means what I say here, those who eat panipuri, they don't know that about that Ascaris, lumbricoides, Centamoeba histolytica, that typhoid. all these diseases because of contaminated food and water. So simply we say children don't know this. That's why washing hands using boiled and filtered water, that washing hands, that fruits and vegetables should eat only after washing vegetables properly. So it's believed to be that children have less awareness on these particular conditions. So that one of the reason why it coming for more to the children using septic tank toilets. Simply what I'm saying that as like entamoeba is already, whatever the care we are taken for entamoeba, maintenance of hygienic conditions. Okay, so covering the food, and because housefly and cockroaches are going to be spread where these particular diseases as a mechanical vector. So have maintenance of hygienic habits, we can prevent Entamoeba isolatica, and we can prevent Ascaris lumbricoides. By preventing mosquitoes, we can prevent Plasmodium vivax. So this is the story of Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides.